Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Insight on Business. My name is Michael Libby. All of this is being brought to us by FWRSA. FWRSA Tax, working hard on your taxes until the cows come home. I love that. They right in their vestibule or in their entry area, they have a cow. I mean, it's not a real cow, but it's a mold, three-dimensional mold of a cow. And of course, I asked the folks at FWRSA one time, I said, so what is this, what's the cow's name? And they said, April, for April 15th. By the way, FWRSA has an open door policy. They'll be able to talk to you about your income taxes right up until tax day. But on Tuesdays, up until 9 o'clock, you can walk in the door, no appointment necessary, and they'll help you with your 1099, all the kinds of stuff, that you 1040, whatever those numbers are. Why don't I know those numbers? Because I've used FWRSA for years, and I just go in there and say, help, here's all the stuff. You guys handle this, will you? And they do a great job. We're going to be talking about apartment dwelling, and what does all this stuff mean? In studio is Tina Patovich, and Tina is the president of the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance. Welcome, Tina.
Thanks.
What are you doing?
Just here to chat with you today about the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance and what we do.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You're not going. Well, I'm going to show you what your background looks like. You ready? All right. You can go ahead and take a look. There you are.
There we go.
There it is. Keep calm. Yeah. Keep calm.
I'll be okay.
And keep leasing. That's what it says. Keep
Great.
Calm and keep leasing. The Central Iowa Apartment Alliance, according to your website, advocates for quality rental housing in Iowa. How do you do that?
It is. Currently, the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance has approximately 18,000 units, which consists of 36 management companies, and then we have 57 vendor partners that are all a part of the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance.
So there are regular members who happen to be leasing agents or companies that represent
Correct.
those 18,000, did you say?
Correct. Yes.
Units. And then you have ancillary or associate members?
Correct.
Who are then providers of services to apartments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we have 57 of those vendor partners. Currently, in the past year since we've been formed, which was approximately 2004, 2005, we have just been here in the Des Moines metro area. And this year, in 2013, we are expanding and actually going statewide to include everyone from all over Iowa who would have apartments, management companies that would want to be a part of the association. The Central Iowa Apartment Alliance is the only association in Iowa that's an affiliate of the National Apartment Association.
So when you talk about advocating for quality rental units, what does that mean?
When we talk about advocating, what that means is we want to be the best of the best. We want to help owners to train their people properly so that we can maintain professional and maintain to be a professional industry. We also advocate for quality housing in the legislative efforts that we do. We work with, we have a lobbyist for us that that keeps up on all the legislative things that are going on. And then we also have a legislative chair within our association that stays on top of that for us as well. The National Apartment Association just had a conference out in Washington, D.C., which was their legislative conference that I attended as well. And that just helps us bring everything back here locally to let everybody know what's going on. What
are those topics? What are some of the topics that are concerning to the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance or alliances similar to what we have in Iowa?
Probably one of the top one for landlords here in Iowa and property owners, quite frankly, is taxes. Taxes in Iowa are still set at the commercial rate, and I know
it's 100%, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I have overseen other properties in other states, and when you compare the taxes of another state to perhaps a property here in Iowa that is going to be very similar in the quality and the age and things like that, sometimes the taxes are 2 to 3 times higher. If not a little bit more. And so that does become an issue for property owners because that money is going towards taxes rather than the upkeep of the property perhaps or further training of their employees. So our number one effort is getting that tax reform through. and hopefully we're going to see some progress in 2013.
Good luck.
Yes. I said hopefully, Michael.
Given the makeup of the Iowa legislature, I don't think that's, although I know both sides of the aisle are working on it. I don't do politics on this show, kids. I do politics elsewhere, but not on this show. But, I'm very aware of those two proposals in the legislature, both the House proposal as well as the Senate proposal. And there's a great deal of difference, and they're hoping to take it to conference committee and work those things out. They've only got a few weeks left.
Right.
And I don't know, it failed last year to happen, and so there's lots of issues here. Staying on that topic for just a moment, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the politics of this, but is it the alliance's perception and the owner's perception that if property taxes were somehow reduced, that would mean less cost for renting apartments, or is it seen that those funds would be utilized for upkeep, maintenance, and then adding to the profits of the owners?
Right. Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of
Sure.
all the owners, but I can say just from things that I've heard from owners that I've spoken to, and maybe perhaps other associations and things like that, a lot of that money would go back into the property. Mm-hmm. Bigger capital improvements could happen and things like that. I don't necessarily think that that'll mean a rent decrease across
Sure.
the board.
I wouldn't think so either. Anyway, okay, let's leave that topic. Tell me about the educational issues that the Alliance puts together. What types of things do you teach or do you share with your members about this whole leasing business?
Okay. Education is huge for us, and I guess that's one of my passions. Prior to becoming the president of the
Mm-hmm.
association in 2013, I was our education chair for 2 years and would put together the schedules and things. And I guess we really base it on what do we find is a necessity within the apartment rental community. I read somewhere that 80% of customer service is just being nice, and 60% of people will lease from somebody if they're nice to them, quite frankly. And so what we try to do is offer classes that are going to educate on customer service and how to properly lease. The National Apartment Association has designations, mm-hmm. and one of those is a National Apartment Leasing Professional. And the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance did just offer that in February. And I believe we had 15 participants that completed the course to get their designation. And at the end of that, they needed to go out into the community and shop their competitions. So tour communities that have apartments that are similar to theirs.
Sure.
And so they could see what the difference was. And it was amazing what they came back to us. They also did a presentation on that, but it was amazing when they came back to us and presented this, what they found were the issues amongst their peers. People who didn't acknowledge them when they walked through the door. They were on their cell phone and didn't want to take the time to help them. And quite frankly, as a leasing agent, that's our job. And anybody in property management, we're here for customer service. And based on that fact from the National Apartment Association that 60% of people lease from people that they like, well,
you got to be likable.
Yeah, and so it's very important in our industry. And so we do a lot of classes based around customer service. Resident retention is another big one. We're offering that class in April, and I thought that there would just be a great need for that. I also read somewhere that somebody decides once they move in within 8 days whether they're going to mm-hmm. renew their lease. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not there doing those resident retention things to keep your residents happy, and a lot of it is just being nice, but there's other things. What can we do, whether it's resident events and things like that. So we do classes based on what we find in the community amongst property owners that they would like to see their employees have. Some companies are small where they don't do a lot of in-house training, and so they look to the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance for that. There's the designations that we offer. April is also Fair Housing Month, and through the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance, we do bring awareness to fair housing. There's the protected classes that when you sit in a class and you ask somebody, okay, what are those? Very few people will be able to just to tell us that. And so that's huge because our rental business is based off of that. And so we do offer, through the Alliance, usually 2 fair housing classes a year. And one is an intro to fair housing. So if you just have people that are entering our industry, they can take that. And we team up with the Iowa Civil Rights Commission, and they come in and do classes on that. And then this year, we're also very fortunate to have somebody who's going to do a lunch and learn type of thing via satellite for us, who is an attorney and deals a lot with fair housing. So this year we'll have 3.
Well, there's, the whole idea of fair housing, there are lots of minefields out there, and the wrong words or the wrong application or the wrong process can get some people into pretty hot water quickly, not only on the local level, but also on the federal level.
Right.
And so people have to be aware of that. So these educational events would probably be primarily one of the great reasons why companies or leasing agents should belong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about, because that's my bailiwick, is the world of advertising and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this change, Tina, all over the place. Tina Patovich, by the way, is our guest. She is with the Central Iowa Alliance for Central Iowa Apartment Alliance. That's it. Sorry.
Yes.
Central Iowa Apartment Alliance. Anyway, so we're talking about advertising, and in my lifetime, there used to be columns of apartment for rent in newspapers, and we've seen that continue to shrink. Then somebody said, oh, well, if this is such a segmented group of people, not everybody subscribes to whatever newspaper it is, why don't we make up little booklets? And we'll put these little booklets at heavily trafficked areas out there so that people can find out what benefits there might be. And then Craigslist came into the picture, and so from that, there were several companies out there that started to put online offerings from various apartments or management companies and things like that, so that the people transition from the newspaper to online viewing of offerings for apartments. How is this working for folks in your business? How is this transition from working from print to online? How's that working in your business? Are you seeing more of an opportunity to connect with potential customers, or how does this work for you guys?
Well, you're correct. I know when I started, even in the industry, which was 16 years ago, print was even a lot more popular then. And now we are seeing a more focus onto the internet and social media, which I know you were talking about earlier in your segment with Twitter and Facebook and all of those advertising mediums. And for us, it's finding out what works best for your community. Some communities may still see that the print advertising is popular for them. Some are going to find that the online is strictly the way to go. And then, of course, there's going to be those that are going to have a mix of that. And really, as a property owner, as a management company, what you need to do is find out what's working best for your communities, so you know where you're spending your advertising dollars. For your best.
Community, or for your business? I mean, for that particular property? Or
yes, for that particular property.
Because there are places that tend to, and I don't want to age-base this, but there are people or properties out there that tend to segment their audience into an older demographic. And sometimes, perhaps, the online things may not work, although, females over the age of 45 are the fastest to utilize all types of social media out there. So you have to know where your consumer base is.
Correct.
Bingo.
Yes.
Kids, if you don't get anything else from any of this, you got to know where your customers are coming from. Most importantly, where are they hanging out to learn more about you? You'd be surprised at how many people don't know that. Mm-hmm. And they just do whatever they've been doing because they've always done it that way.
Yes.
And time flies by them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I couldn't agree more with that. I know in a lot of trainings that I do, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. and that's basically what you just said. And I had a former boss tell me that once, that every week we'd show up to the meeting and he would say, okay, what are you doing different for marketing this weweek? And I would almost get stressed out. Okay, well, what am I gonna say that's different this week? But I learned a couple months into it that's not what it's about. It's about knowing your demographic, knowing what you need to do to truly market your community. And handing out pens with your name on it one week is great, and that's a new idea. But it's getting your arms wrapped around everything of what your community needs and your demographic, or whether it's your management company and so on.
In your opinion, what are the best 3 ways? Now, I know it depends. You just said where your property tends to be. But what are the best 3 ways? And here's why I'm asking this. I see lots of apartment complexes out there that still put up signs, like on balconies, rent now, free heat, all kinds of different things with a sign sticking on some visible place of their apartment. I see people put print ads or Craigslist or online. In your opinion, what works best in this particular market? And again, overall, what tends to work best?
I think definitely your online advertising. We do have some.
And why is that?
I think it's just the back to the basics. That's what everybody's doing now. I mean, everybody has a smartphone. You need your sites to be mobile.
Thank you.
And if you do, it's gonna pay for itself if you have the mobile sites. I know. I just look at it. Where do I want to shop? What places do I shop online? And if they don't have a mobile site, sometimes it is an inconvenience. So I guess I apply real world things too to how I market at work as well. And again, it goes back to people being nice. But in talking about the advertising world, definitely online is going to be a huge source. People have a few minutes at work. They're on break. It's easy to Google those things and to look online, maybe more so than it is to grab the newspaper. We also do have some not online print. We have some print books in Des Moines that are still widely used and very popular that you'll see everywhere throughout the metro. And those are a huge source. I think really above everything, in my opinion, it's branding. And it's branding yourself and
your property.
Yes,
yeah.
Branding your property, or perhaps maybe even branding your management company. So people know your management company for responsive maintenance, or they know your company for always having great social events, or for always being clean, those types of things. So that'll get you really far too.
Tina Patovich is our guest, ladies and gentlemen. She is with the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance. She's the president of that. Or how did you get to be president? They voted you.
They voted.
Yeah, you were absent, and they said Tina's the president.
No, not quite. My peers voted, and
very nice.
I was nominated. And
when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Tina Patovich, and we're going to ask. This is something that, anyway, what do these people do all day? Do they? What do these leasing agents do all day? Do they sit on their cell phones, play Angry Birds? What the hell's going on in some of these rental offices? We'll ask that question and some other things of our guest Tina Patovich when we come back. Also, in this next segment, we've got 2 things for you: the worst campaign of the week, which just started and ended last week, as a matter of fact. We'll have to show you that, and also what we think is the very best visual apartment campaign we've ever seen that comes out of New York, and I think you're going to get a kick out of this. Our conversation with Tina Patovich continues right after this.